Today we'll discuss the concept of cluster analysis. It's in data mining and data warehousing. That's module 5. Cluster analysis. First we'll discuss the basics of clusters. Cluster analysis divides data into groups or clusters that are meaningful, useful, or both. That is both meaningful and useful. If meaningful groups are the goal, then the clusters should capture the natural structure of the data. If you want meaningful units from the clusters, that is, you are creating some information, you have some raw data, you are creating some information, that is, whatever the data you get from the cluster, it is giving you some information, that is some meaningful, so that if you see that or if you get that cluster, you will understand something. So if that is the case, then you should get the natural structure of the data. In some cases, cluster analysis is only a useful starting point for other purpose, such as data summarization. So it is some pre-processing work. If you want to, your problem is something, the solution for that is something. But to get the solution, we want the data to be in groups. Okay, so starting point of some other process, starting point of some other work. Okay, so such as data summarization. If you want to do the data summarization, you are grouping together. So related items will be grouped together, then you can summarize it. Cluster analysis has played an important role in a wide variety of fields like psychology and other social sciences, biology, statistics, pattern recognition, information retrieval, machine learning, and data mining. Overview. What is cluster analysis? Cluster analysis groups data objects based only on information found in the data that describes the object and their relationship. So here cluster analysis means we are grouping the data objects together based on the information found in the data. So information found in the data, we are going to collect that. Based on that information, whatever we are getting, we are going to divide the data into groups. Okay, we are going to divide the data into groups that will describe what are the content of the group, that is what are the objects present in the group, and the relationship between the objects. The goal is that objects within a group be similar or related to one another and different from or unrelated to the objects in other groups. So here in one group, whatever the objects you get or whatever the object you group, those objects will be similar or related to each other. And the objects in one group are not related to the objects in another group. Okay. The greater the similarity or homogeneity within a group and greater the difference between groups, the better or more distinct the cluster. So if you want the better or efficient or good performance clustering, that means the objects within the cluster must be similar. Okay, similarity must be more. The greater the similarity, the better the cluster. And greater the difference between the objects present in different groups. If I have two groups, the object in first group and the object in second group must be different. Okay, the greater the difference in the group, then also the clustering is better and it will be distinct. So consider the example here. So these are the points, original points. We have a set of data here. Okay, these points represents data. Okay, and here we are dividing it into two clusters. Okay, we are dividing it into two clusters. You can see I can divide it into 4 clusters also. I can divide it into 4 clusters also, right? So here we have 2 cluster. In one data is in square shape and in another data is in triangular shape, right? Okay, here 1, 2, 3 and 4 groups we have with the different symbols. Same data, it is represented using different symbol. Okay, so that we can understand where is the cluster. Okay, then this is 6 cluster. 6 clusters we have here, right? So with the same data, it is divided into 2 clusters, 4 clusters, 6 clusters, right? So these are the different ways of clustering the same set of points. It is again, it depends on the data. So this figure illustrates that the definition of a cluster is imprecise. You cannot give the precise definition for the clusters. Okay, because with the same data you can see that is we have divided it into only 2 clusters, then 4 clusters, then 6 clusters, same data, right? So, and that the best definition depends on the nature of the data and the desired result. What you are expecting from the data, okay, the same data and what you are expecting from the data. So number of clusters depend on that. Number of clusters, creation of number of clusters depend on what kind of data or what kind of result you are expecting from that data, what you are capturing from the data. It is very important. Based on that, it will divide the data. So cluster analysis is related to other techniques that are used to divide data objects into groups. That is, we have other techniques also for cluster analysis, like clustering can be regarded as a form of classification also. We can consider it as a classification in that it creates a labeling of objects with class labels. Okay, for classification also we can use the cluster, and after dividing the data points, we can label each cluster. We can give the class name for each cluster. Okay, classification is supervised. What is supervised learning? That is, new unlabeled objects are assigned a class label using a model developed from the objects with known class labels. So classification we have learnt in 4th module, right? We have learnt in 4th module, and we have seen that will be given with the data, set of data, and that using that data classification algorithm, it will create a model. It will create a model. It might be rule based or it might be class based, right? We have seen that, and we have many algorithm we have discussed. Neo based algorithm, Bayes theorem we have discussed, right? Nearest neighbor algorithm we have discussed, right? So what happens there? So it will create a model, and when you give a new data to it, new unlabeled data to it, or new unlabeled example for it, it will try to classify that. What class we have to assign for that, it will classify that. That's why it is called a supervised learning. Supervised learning will be having training data, and using the training data, they are going to do that. But in clustering, what happens? So we'll be having the data. We're not going to train the model here. We're not going to train the model here. We are just dividing the data based on the information present in the data. Okay, we are dividing that. So that's why it is called as unsupervised classification. So we don't have any proof for the classification here. Proof is not there. So in actual classification, whatever we have learned in 4th module, so there some proof is there because we'll be having training data. We have training data. We can pick one example from the training data itself and we can check whether it will classify correctly or not. We can do that. Proof is there. But in cluster analysis, proof is not there. Okay, proof is not there. That's why it is unsupervised. Okay, unsupervised learning. That is, we don't have anything so that we can compare with it. I hope you are getting. So that is the cluster analysis, and that is called as unsupervised classification also. So you can classify here. So what you can do, you can divide the data into number of groups, and you can give the class name for that. You can give class labels for that. Also, the term segmentation, I think you have heard of segmentation. If you are interested in image processing, for example, and then partitioning also you have heard, right, are sometimes used as synonyms for clustering. Okay, clusterings are nothing but segmentation and partitioning in other approaches. Okay, in other approaches outside the traditional bounds of cluster analysis. Okay, so different types of clustering. Let us distinguish various types of clustering here. Let us discuss the differences between two clusters. Okay, that is hierarchical versus partitional clusters. Hierarchical is also called as nested. Partitional, it is also called as unnested or not a nested group. Exclusive versus overlapping versus fuzzy, it is not fuzzy, it is fuzzy. Okay, and complete versus partial. Okay, complete versus partial, we'll discuss one by one. Hierarchical versus partitional. The most common distinction among different types of clustering is whether the set of cluster is nested or unnested, or in more traditional terminology, hierarchical or partitional. So usually most commonly discussed difference is this, that is whether a cluster we are going to consider is nested or unnested. And partitional clustering is simply a division of the set of data objects into non-overlapping subsets, such that each data object is in exactly one subset. Non-overlapping. Overlapping means the same point will be in two clusters or more than one cluster. If one data point is in more than one cluster, then it is called as overlapping set. Overlapping values, overlapping data points. Okay, non-overlapping means it will not be having common data points in between two clusters. Okay, so partitional clustering, in this we are going to divide the set of data objects in such a way that it is non-overlapping. It will create non-overlapping subsets or non-overlapping clusters. Okay, so each data object, each data point will be in exactly one subset. Taken individually, each collection of clusters in figure 8.1 B2D is a partitional clustering. Okay, whatever we have discussed just now, the same figure. Okay, taken individually, each collection of cluster, each collection you can see whether it is 2 clusters, 4 clusters or 6 clusters, all these clusters are partitional clustering. You can notice that the data point which belongs to one cluster doesn't belong to another cluster. Okay, this is called as partitional clustering. Okay, I hope you understood. So let us discuss what is hierarchical clustering. If we permit clusters to have subclusters, then we obtain a hierarchical clustering, which is a set of nested clusters that are organized as a tree. You have learned binary tree, right? You have you know about the structure of the tree. It will be having number of nodes, right? And it will be arranged in a hierarchical pattern, right? File structure you have studied. Usually files are organized in the system in a tree-like structure, hierarchical structure, right? So same thing here also. So if we permit the clusters to have subclusters, so one cluster, if we divide that, it will be having, for example, if it is binary tree, left subtree and right subtree. If it is ternary tree, we'll be having 3 child nodes, maximum 3 child nodes for a single node, right? So it will be having subclusters or subnodes. Okay, then we obtain hierarchical clustering like a tree-like structure. Each node, that is, each node is a cluster. Okay, each node is a cluster in the tree except for the leaf node. Except that leaf nodes is the union of its children. Okay, that is subcluster. Union, each child node is also a cluster again. Okay, but it will be divided again. The cluster data points will be divided again. That's what it is called. They are calling it as subcluster. And the root of the tree is the cluster containing all the objects. Okay, root of the tree is the cluster containing all the objects. If we allow clusters to be nested, then one interpretation of figure 8.1a, that is original data point, that is I have given this in the next slide, you can notice that figure 8.1a is that it has 2 subclusters which is in 8.1b, each of which in turn has 3 subclusters 8.1d, right? Okay, the clusters shown in figure 8.1a to d, when taken in that order, also form a hierarchical or nested clustering with respectively 1, 2, 4 and 6 cluster on each level. So you can notice this diagram, the same figure I have given in this format. Okay, so same figure, that is 8.1, whatever we have seen, that is A will be having, A had all the original points. So you can notice that in the first level, we have all the data points. In first level, we have all the data points. In the second level, it is divided into two clusters. It is two cluster, that is 8.1b. So two cluster, it is divided into two cluster, and then these cluster again it is divided into two clusters. So 4 clusters. Okay, in this level we have 4 clusters. In the next level, these 2 cluster, it is divided into 3 cluster. Again on the right side, whatever the 2 cluster we have, that is divided into 3 clusters here. So total 6 clusters. So this is hierarchical cluster. Exclusive versus overlapping versus fuzzy. The clustering shown in figure 8.1 are all exclusive as they assign each object to a single cluster. I told you it is not overlapping. If it is not overlapping means the same data point belongs to more than one cluster. But here no data point belongs to any other cluster. If it is belong to one cluster, it is exclusively for that cluster only. Okay, that's why the clustering shown in the figure, whatever we have seen just now, are all exclusive as they assign each object to a single cluster. There are many situations in which a point could reasonably be placed in more than one cluster, and these situations are better addressed by non-exclusive clustering. So we'll get some situations in which single data point belongs to more than one cluster. Okay, that is called as non-exclusive clustering or overlapping clustering. In the most general sense, an overlapping or non-exclusive clustering is used to reflect the fact that an object can simultaneously belong to more than one group. Okay, so one data point belongs to more than one group. Okay, it shows that. For example, a person at a university can take both, and he might be enrolled as a student also, and he is an employee of the university also. So person is same, he is student also in that university, and he is working as a faculty also, for example. Okay, same data point belongs to two clusters. One is student cluster, another one is employee cluster. Okay, I hope you're getting. So that is called as overlapping cluster or non-exclusive cluster. In a fuzzy clustering, every object belongs to every cluster with a membership weight that is between 0. 0 means it doesn't belong, and 1 means it will completely belong to that particular cluster. So in fuzzy clustering, what happens? Every object you consider, it will belong to every cluster with a membership weight. Okay, it will be fuzzy. So if you have 4 cluster, every object belongs to all the 4 clusters. With the for each clustering, this one particular data point will be having its own weight. 0 means it doesn't belong, and 1 means it belongs. In other words, clusters are treated as fuzzy sets. For example, mathematically, a fuzzy set is one in which an object belongs to any set with a weight that is between 0 and 1. So it might be fractional point also, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. So that is the weight given to each data or each object. A fuzzy set is one in which an object belongs to any set. So if we have multiple sets, any object can belong to any set. So for each set, it will be having its own weight. So in fuzzy clustering, we often impose the additional constraint that the sum of the weights for each object must be equal to 1. So when you add the weights, in the cluster, it must be equal to 1. Then complete versus partial clustering. A complete clustering assigns every object to a cluster, whereas partial clustering does not. Complete clustering means every object belongs to any one of the cluster. Okay, so will not get the cluster which is outside the clustering, and which is left isolated. Will not get such a data point in complete clustering. So complete clustering means it will assign every object to a cluster. Every object belongs to some cluster. Okay, whereas partial clustering does not. In partial clustering, we cannot say that all the data points belongs to some cluster. Okay, the motivation for partial clustering is that some objects in the data set may not belong to well-defined groups. For example, you might be having some wrong information also in the data, right? So some error might be there, some outlier might be there, some noise might be there in the data. So that should not be included in the cluster. So that is the motivation for partial clustering. So many times objects in the data set may represent noise, outliers, or uninteresting background. Okay, so it might be having some noise. Outliers means it doesn't belong to the data, actual data. Noise means while passing information from one end to another end, it might have included some data into it, which is not actual information. Outliers are also almost same thing, but it is present in the data, but we are not interested in that. Or uninteresting background. So for example, if you consider the image, you might be interested in some of the objects present in the image and you are not interested in the background. So that is also the example for the data which we are not going to include in the cluster. So that is the motivation for the partial clustering. So for example, some newspaper stories may share a common theme such as global warming, while other stories are more generic or one of a kind. So if you are interested in global warming and if you want to include, if you want to read the content only about the global warming, so you can collect only that. Remaining stories, whatever we have, even though it's a news, we are not interested in that. So those should not be included in the cluster. Okay. So thus, to find the important topics in last month's stories, we may want to search only for the clusters of documents that are tightly related by a common theme. So for example, common theme means global warming. If you are searching only for the global warming, you want the news only about it. You don't want any other news. Okay, we have to omit that. So we can consider it as outliers. It doesn't belong to this theme. In other cases, a complete clustering of the object is desired. For example, an application that uses clustering to organize documents for browsing needs to guarantee that all documents can be browsed. There we need clustering, like complete clustering we need. So if you are browsing something about the company, you want to include all the things which is related to the company. So in that case, we need complete clustering. You should guarantee that all the documents will be included for browsing. All the documents about the company must be included for browsing. So it needs complete clustering then. Okay, that is about complete versus partial clustering. These are the overviews of the clustering analysis. So in detail, again, we'll continue in the next class. If you have any doubts, you can ask me.